Hello, hello,
Hi,
and welcome to Xena Made Me Gay. I'm Kris,
I'm Alice.
and today we're going to be talking about season 1, episode 14, A Fistful of Dinars. Clearly, a reference to a fistful of dollars. We'll see whether there are any other parallels in the plot.
In the times of brick phones, Tamagotchis, and curtain bangs, the 90s kids cried out for a badass. She was Xena, the warrior princess. The kicks, the moves, the nostalgia, the queerness. Xena made us gay.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I was so disappointed that it was this episode.
Really?
Yeah, because it's not a bad episode, but
Hmm.
when I heard when I saw the title, A Fistful of Dinars, for some reason my brain made a connection with Autolycus, and I was thinking,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I was thinking it's the first episode where Autolycus appears, and that's one of the
Mm.
favorite, all-time favorite episodes I have of the show.
Aww.
And I'm like, yay, I'm so excited. I even I think postponed our recording because I'm not feeling well, but I need to be feeling well for my favorite episode.
Oh no! Oh no!
So this was that's guys, listeners, it's not a bad episode. It's just not an episode where Autolycus appears, and that's disappointing.
Yeah, but what if literally everyone else aside from you knows that this is not the episode where Autolycus appears, and so everyone's fine? You're the only one who's not fine. What if that's the case?
I say it happens a lot in my life.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
Okay. Um so right off the bat I have a stupid idea for our
Love
banter.
that.
Do you want a stupid idea? Okay. Um
When do I not?
Great. So everyone, and by everyone I mean everyone on TikTok, has been obsessed with Saltburn lately, and I saw it recently. It seemed to me that it has a lot of shocking scenes. And then
Mm.
I saw it and I was like, where are the shocking scenes?
Yeah.
Like it just really, this made me think that it takes so little to shock people on
Oh,
TikTok.
it
They're
does.
so easily shocked.
Absolutely. Like I've heard that people were walking out on poor things.
What?
Yeah. Like
Like
people can't deal.
with it. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. But anyway, that made me thinking about really truly shocking scenes.
Mm.
And I was thinking to do our rating, so that each of us could say, I don't know, 3 or 4
Hmm.
scenes that we remember from the show, watching it and being like, oh, whoa, that's intense.
Yeah. I mean, I think you remember the show a lot better than I do, so you would
Yeah.
also have better examples than me. Because for for me, it would be like Hercules turned into a pig. Shocker!
What was itty bitty Chris shocked by? I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I also I feel like I had a very I feel like I had a childhood that was rich in all kinds of interesting stimuli. This
Yep.
sounds very weird. Let me make it more specific so that it doesn't sound like I don't know I was in a sex cult or something. Um, I remembered that I was really into like adrenaline inducing things from a very young age, like all of the roller coasters that I was tall enough for I would ride.
Yeah,
um
definitely.
and that kind of continued also into movies and TV.
Mm.
Like I enjoyed one of the films that I watched the most as a tiny kid was Deep Blue Sea, about
Right. Yes, I remember.
giant shark eating everyone. I was like, hell yeah, I love that.
I
Yeah.
still love that. Giant sea animals eating everybody. That's very satisfying to watch.
Yeah. Also, Deep Blue Sea is an amazing movie, and I recommend it. I rewatched it as an adult, like during the pandemic, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot how good this was. Um. Anyways, so yeah, and my parents didn't. It didn't occur to my parents that like age restrictions are a thing for like basically anything. So you know, I watched everything. So I guess what this is a very long
Yes.
tangent.
No, but
Um,
it's same with me. I think that we both come from the house. Like it was a mutual house partly, but like my parents and your parents both, they were like age restrictions. No, no, we don't need to do that. Like I watched all Tarantino movies before I was 6. I think.
right? Yeah. So and I don't think it's even that our parents were like, "Oh, should we follow these age restrictions or not?" I think it just didn't occur to them that age
No,
restrictions existed.
are they? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but all of this is to say that I don't think it was easy to shock me with Xena Warrior Princess at that age.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Therefore, I don't have any good examples for you except for one that I see you've noted yourself.
Hmm.
And that one,
Hmm.
I don't remember watching it as a kid. I only remembered watching it as an adult. At some point,
Hmm.
I rewatched a few seasons of Xena when I was around 20, and I
Hmm.
remember that scene from back then, and that actually was quite shocking.
Yeah.
The scene where Gabrielle is essentially raped by a
Evil
demon
spirits. Yeah.
ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. When Gabrielle gets her demon baby, who she names Hope. Yeah. That's a very jarring scene because we do not see anything. Like essentially, she's just lifted up above the altar, and
Mm.
like some like evil smoke is around her. We do not see any shapes, like anything, but we can understand what's going on. And I think I when I watched it for the first time, I clearly got what's going on
Mm.
just because of her reaction, just because how Renee O'Connor played that.
Mm.
And yeah, that was a very bold choice, I would say, for a TV show of that
Yeah.
kind.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, but it was very effective.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, and otherwise I got nothing. So you tell me.
Okay, so I think this just like you remembered it, I remembered it. This is the top one, and everything else
Mm.
is like it's not that shocking. It's just like those scenes that you kind of that stay with you.
Mhm.
If I had TikTok back in the day, that would what I would have put on my TikTok account. I think there is an episode like also connected with the Gabrielle's evil baby Hope. She kills Xena's son, and they have a giant beef because of that.
Right.
And Gabrielle goes to the Amazons to be all sad, and Xena
Yeah.
is just plain angry. And I think
Uh-huh.
Gabrielle goes to like a bathhouse, Amazon's bathhouse, and she's lying there naked, and they're like beating her with those, leaves. I don't know. I know how it's called in Russian. I don't know how it's called in English. Веником
Yeah, I mean, so I live in Berlin, right? And Germany has a very rich sauna culture.
Bathhouse culture. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, I think whenever you say bathhouse, I immediately think of gay bathhouses, which are also available in Berlin. So come visit us. Um, but I'm thinking specifically of like vanilla saunas, and some of them do have those like twigs
Hmm.
that you kind of spray water around with and hit yourself with, and they just call them Venyuk. Like they don't
Okay.
they don't bother using any kind of a special, not special, but like German word for it.
Other words, yeah. So like basically, yeah, like she's in that sort of Amazon gay, I would assume, bathhouse.
I mean,
Um,
yes.
clearly. And Xena comes in and she's like kind of like lassos her with a rope, and then she
Mm.
goes on a horse and Gabrielle is dragged after her on a horse,
Oh my god,
right?
yes!
Which
Oh
is
my
pretty
god.
shocking.
Holy shit, I forgot that happened. Oh my god.
And like I remember when I was watching it, I clearly remembered something from my history textbook where they're like that was a form of execution, like people
Right.
were executed this way, and I'm like, hmm, interesting choice for their eternal friendship. But like in the end, everything is fine, everyone is alive, of
Obviously,
course.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that we had that even in the episode where we have the court drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's the execution method there as well. No.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a well-known thing, and that was pretty shocking to see, mostly because of those two characters and how much they care about each
Yeah,
other, and like,
yeah, that was fucking wild.
yeah. And to not name only downers, I was like, what is like the feel good scene that I remember that could be compared to like everyone going nuts for murder on the dance floor. And it's, remember there was an episode in season 4 called The Tale of Two Muses, where again they summon Autolycus to play this um evil dude that is restricting everything, and he's like, let's restrict dancing.
Oh my god, this is literally Footloose.
Yes, that's the Footloose episode.
Oh
Yes.
my god. No, I don't remember the Footloose
It's a
episode.
very, first of all, it's a very fun episode. Because of that scene, I kind of rewatched half of it. Instead of rewatching A Fistful of Dinars, I should have been rewatching. But it's a great scene at the end where Xena and Gabrielle are dancing and being very happy, and like, I don't know. It's very, when I retell it, it's shit, but when you watch it, it's great. So
Yeah, we're. It's funny that you mentioned that because we've just reviewed an episode that was garbage because Gabrielle's retelling of old episodes was bad.
yep,
Um,
yep.
and now you're retelling all episodes of Xena, and that's garbage. So I guess we all learned something today.
Okay, so should we do another garbage retelling of an episode? How do you feel?
Oh no, when I do it, it's brilliant.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then proceed, please.
Oh, with pleasure. Um, so let's get on with the episode. We open with an action-packed sequence. We see that there's a guy running away from someone. His face is bloody, but it seems like he's out of luck because he runs into the guy he seems to be running away from. And yeah, I don't know how that happened logistically, but whatever. Um, but whatever. The guy he's been running away from whacks him in the face with a tree log. Ouch. Um, and the way it's filmed, it seems like we are the ones being whacked in the face. It's pretty effective. Like it's a very simple camera trick, but especially since it's just the beginning of the episode and we're kind of starting to get in the action. We're like, so the guy falls, obviously, and the baddie with the log is about to kill him. saying that dead men don't need treasure. But
Mhm.
not so fast. He's tapped on the shoulder by Xena, who punches him in the face. And again, the camera position makes it seem like we are the ones who are punched. And it's not even a minute in, and we've already been punched twice.
The excitement of Xena episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a moment of tension as both the baddie and the guy with the bloodied face are on the ground. And then everyone is momentarily distracted by Gabrielle coming out of the bushes, and the baddie uses that moment to run away.
Yeah, I didn't quite get what happened there. Like, was she supposed to come out of the bushes at that point or not? Because it just seemed like a Renee O'Connor just came out of the bushes, out of character, asking like, "Guys, when's lunch?" And the baddie is like, "Oh, I'm still in character. I'm gonna run away." So-
It did kind of feel like that. I don't know. There's nothing about that entrance that said deliberate to me.
no,
I think she just, I don't know. Did she want to check what's happening? Did she not understand what was happening? It's unclear.
it's unclear. No,
It's just she just messes things up for some reason.
as she does a lot in season one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So the injured guy gets kind of all of his strength together in order to tell Xena to go get the pouch because it has the Titan's key. Um, and Xena tells Gabrielle to look after the injured guy, runs after the baddie. Of course, she quickly gets to him, defeats him, gets the pouch, but suddenly the baddie freezes, and we realize he's been stabbed by another baddie who snuck up on him from behind.
Yeah, there are a lot of baddies in this episode. We're going to try to distinguish them.
We're gonna do our
Uh,
best.
yeah, but I really liked how this scene was executed because when Xena defeats this first baddie who is stabbed and who is no longer relevant to us, she does not even waste time on fighting him. She just knocks the sword out of his hand and then kicks him in the crotch. Just like, just let's get it over with. You're not worthy of my attention and time.
Aw. Yeah, but the baddie who stabs the other one, Xena recognizes him. And yeah, he must be yet another acquaintance of hers from those villain conventions Xena used to frequent.
Everyone in the Republican Party of baddies knows each other, at least
I
the big
mean,
players.
yeah, they networked a lot. So they chat a little bit, and we get some exposition about how this is all about Sumerian treasure. And we have 4 clues for finding it. Well, not we, like, there are 4 clues in the world for finding it. And the baddie has 2 clues already. He wants to get the third one from the pouch that Xena's holding. She opens the pouch. The pouch has a map inside of it. She looks at the map for like 5 seconds and swallows it. I mean, talk about photographic memory. Like, if you miss any detail, you're fucked. Okay. So she then turns around and walks away, leaving the baddie frustrated and kind of unable to do anything because he was gonna get the pouch with the map, but now the map is gone. But then Xena has the contents of the map inside of her brain, so he can't hurt her.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the reasons she did it because as
Mm,
we know later, this baddie is an assassin. So like, of
mm-mm.
course, he's no match for Xena like in the field, but I assume he's good at like sneakily killing people. But now he cannot sneakily kill
As
Xena.
we'll see later.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. But here, yeah, he's frustrated, and in his frustration, he takes off his hat and he reveals that he has this peroxide bleach blonde hair, it's cool how advanced ancient Greek hair salons were.
And thank the god of Olympus for that, because now we're gonna call this baddie bleached haired baddie. Bleached baddie. That's that's gonna be his nickname for the episode. But
Bleach
yeah.
blonde baddie or BBB.
Hi, what are you doing tonight? Well, I'd like a BBB, please.
Where are you? What establishment is this?
A hair salon?
Bathhouse? So we come back to Gabrielle, and we see her covering the face of the injured guy who, as we understand, has died. So Xena and the bleach blonde baddie come along and discuss their plans to get the fourth and last clue. Xena offers to be the one who gets it because she knows the guy who has it better than the baddie. Okay, so Xena reveals to Gabrielle that she knew the guy who was injured and that died, and actually that they were friends, and that they were the only two who knew that the Sumerian treasure includes the Titan key. So it's not just some silly old treasure; it's treasure plus the Titan key, which can. This is very complicated. We're sorry, but like this is the plot. The treasure has the Titan key, which can lead to ambrosia, which is the foot of the gods. And the catch is, if a mortal eats it, they become a god themselves. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that ambrosia is mentioned in the show, but it's gonna
But not the last time.
no, it's gonna be a huge deal throughout. Like speaking of things that me as a young viewer cared about, I was fucking obsessed with ambrosia.
Aww.
I don't know why, but it blew my mind, and I wanted it real bad. I even once like tried eating flowers that kind of looked like ambrosia in the hopes
Wow.
of, I don't know what I thought would happen, but I was like, oh, this is kind of like the real thing.
Aww.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
I'm curious what flower it was, because for me ambrosia just looks like jello.
It does. But when you're 6, you're really
Aw.
willing to think creatively. So yeah, I went a bit out of the box there.
Yeah, I wonder how tasty actually was. Like I assume that it is jello, like because
Yeah.
like here we're just kind of like abstractly talking about it, but if someone needed to eat ambrosia, wink wink, that might happen in some of the later episodes. Yeah, that would be jello, because I remember
Hmm.
Emilia Clarke talking about the fact that like there's a scene where she needs to eat a horse's
A
heart.
horse's
Remember?
heart, yeah. And it was like rubbery
It
and
it was a
gross.
gummy bear material. So it was like
Yeah.
a gummy bear material with a lot of like red sauce that like
Uh-huh.
was
Uh-huh.
blood. And she said that she legitimately like was almost sick by the end of it, because like imagine
No.
like eating this big blob of a gummy bear.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But on screen, ambrosia at least looks very appetizing. I agree.
it looks fantastic, yeah. So the last thing that happens in that scene is that Xena takes the blanket off of the dead guy's face. She looks at him. She says goodbye. So clearly, they were pretty good friends. She cared
Mhm.
about him. After the intro, we see that Gabrielle and Xena are walking together, and Gabrielle asks Xena about the guy who has the fourth clue, Petrocles.
Mhm.
And Xena reveals that he's a warlord who she almost married.
Dun dun dun. This one is a real dun dun dun.
Yeah. And Gabrielle agrees. She's pretty stunned.
As are we. Like, we know that Xena had her fair share of shitty men she dated at some point, and this one, spoiler alert, is one of the douchiest ones, in my opinion, at least.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say that, especially given his character arc in this episode.
Okay, yeah, let's get to that.
Yeah, yeah. So we then see Patroclus,
Mhm.
and we see him give a villain speech to some villagers he's been terrorizing. When Xena and Gabrielle knock out the guards outside the tent and just walk in, Gabrielle very sweetly advises the beat up guards to use a cold compress so that they don't get swelling afterwards.
Aw.
Aw.
I assume she says that a lot, traveling with Xena.
Yeah. And we can immediately see that Patroclus has some personality, which, makes him a lot more fun as a character. I can see your face making faces, and we'll get to that. Um, because I don't know, it's really hard for me to imagine Xena being engaged to some random dude. So Patroclus being more of a fun character, not like funny, but
Mhm.
kind of with a bit of a yeah, with a bit more to offer than just standing there, which you know a lot of the love interests of Xena and Gabrielle are kind of giving just standing there.
That's true. That's true.
Um, it makes it a little bit easier for me to picture them together.
I get all that,
Mm.
but on the other hand, for
Mm.
some reason, something about
Mm.
this character irks me because
Yeah.
his personality is very much like this douche of the 90s that in the 90s was considered to be charming because he's such a
Mhm.
baddie and he's like emotionally unavailable. And like now, I think the world knows better, and I know better because I'm older. Because I used to be in love with those kind of dudes, like
Yeah.
on screen, not in real life. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just want to roll my eyes at him, like every time I see him on screen. He's like this Hank Moody, insufferable type.
Who's Hank Moody?
Californication.
Oh no, I've seen this a couple of seasons.
Oh, cool, cool. Like
Okay.
he's basically that. Like
Oh no.
Californication for the first time, I was like, oh, like Hank is like so cool and complicated. When I rewatched it at some point, I'm like, he's just an asshole that is not worth anyone's time, and I kind of
Mm.
feel the same way about this dude.
Okay, okay. Oh, fair enough. So, Xena shows the Sumerian coin from her dead friend's pouch to Patroclus, telling him that the friend is dead.
Hmm.
And Patroclus says that it's too bad, since he also thought that that guy was a good man. Um, so I'm intrigued by this dead guy. Like it seems like he was enough of a baddie for Patroclus to like him, but enough of a good dude that Xena still cared about him. That it must be like an interesting combo. I feel bad we'd never got to know him.
That's true because in this series, like if you're bad, basically you just have to like walk around telling everyone that you're bad.
But it's really funny how as soon as the Sumerian treasure is brought up, Patroclus clearly stops caring about anything else but the treasure. So the poor villagers kind of plead for their cattle and horses to be given back to them, and Patroclus like waves them away, like whatever. Yes, sure, you can keep them, whatever, whatever. And like Xena encourages him to do it, but yeah, he lets them keep the cattle and the horses just because he's like, I don't care about you anymore. Let me just do my thing.
Yeah, here I must say that like I don't like the character, but I do like the actor who's playing him. He does a good
Mm.
job. He has this obsessive twinkle in his eye that like it's interesting, especially for this like conventionally good looking dude. They do not usually play it like that. So that I liked. And like yeah, with the villagers it was very funny how they were like, oh, we really need our cattle, and he's like, okay, you can have your cattle. Oh, yeah, but we cannot wield our cattle without horses. Okay, you can have horses. And at some point, I just thought that, like, oh, and also we need your pants. And he's like, okay, you can have my pants. Like, whatever, just leave.
Aw. Suddenly the villagers turn into the Terminator? We also need your motorcycle.
Yeah. Anything is possible.
Yeah. But it's a good point. I don't know. I feel like for me it was hard to separate the character from the actor, but I'm willing to admit that maybe the what makes Petrocles fun is to a very significant extent the actor.
Mm-hmm.
That's very fair. So in the next scene we see Gabrielle and Petrocles walking together, and Gabrielle keeps looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
So Petrocles asks her why, and she tells him that Xena warned her to never turn her back to him. And, and Petrocles is like, "Ooh, she really hates me, doesn't she?" And Gabrielle is like, "Hate is a pretty strong word, but it might be the right one." I miss 90s style screenwriting so much.
It's so cringe that it's good.
I just love it. It's oh. um so Patroclus then sneakily tries to ask Gabrielle about the clue that Xena got from her friend. But Gabrielle immediately tells him that she's not gonna fall for his sweet talk. And Patroclus is then like, "But I'm the king of sweet talk." And Gabrielle is like, "Well, you've just met your match." So they then brag to each other about all of the shit they talked themselves into getting, and Gabrielle talked her parents into giving her a pony, and Patroclus talked a warlord into giving him an army, and Gabrielle talked a Cyclops out of eating her, and Patroclus talked Xena into marrying him, and Gabrielle has nothing to answer to that one. And she clearly is still quite unsure about what to do with that information. Like it disturbs her for some reason. But at that point, Xena calls Gabrielle and asks her not to talk to Petrocles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Gabrielle understandingly finds that quite patronizing and is clearly offended that Xena doesn't seem to view her as a trustworthy adult.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I think when they part ways with Patrocles, um she says to him like something like, you can keep your crown, after after he says that he talked Xena into marrying him, which is like, yeah, it's really impressive. I'm on the fence here. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. Again, this back and forth between Gabrielle and Patrocles, it's a very classic 90s rom-com. It seems like, oh, and I'm good at this and I'm good at that, and then like the guy kind of like does something and the girl's like, oh my god, you're so sexy. And like, I see where they're going with this. For me, it's laid a little too thick, but I can accept that. I like the Xena Gabby dynamic here again.
Okay, okay. Um, so the three reach the bleach blonde baddie, who's clearly disappointed to see Petrocles. There's no love lost between the two.
No, yeah. And like for a while they argue who should get what part of the treasure. Like the bleached baddie says like, "Oh, I have two clues. Maybe I should get half of the treasure." So like they're kind of like dividing it between the three of them, and then Gabrielle rightfully says like, "Well, there are four of us." And the bleached baddie immediately threatens to kill her, and he's like, "Well, we can rectify that." But of course, Xena once again protects Gabrielle by tearing out the bleached baddie's beard hair, question mark. She does something to his beard that seems very painful, but it was very satisfying to watch.
Yeah. I think she tears out a bit of it. Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah. So the group then notices a bunch of people approaching them, and the bleach blonde baddie says that those are his former employers.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
as you said, he's an assassin.
And very
And
corporate again, as we do in the Republican Party of baddies.
yes, exactly. So one of them confronts the baddie about the assassination he's been tasked with and never um, carried out, and then they threaten him. And the baddie says that it's not a good idea to threaten him since he's the one with tricks up his sleeve. And then he literally reveals a contraption under his sleeve that shoots out a small dagger into the guy who's ordered the assassination. And so he kills him. And the rest of the ex employer group freaks out and runs away. And at that point, for some reason, the bleach blonde baddie reveals that he himself is Sumerian. I don't know. For some reason, it sounded like there were no more Sumerians around at that time from the way that other characters were talking about them. I don't know. It's unclear.
It's unclear. We understand why it's done, like in terms of
Mm,
plot device. But
yeah.
also, I kind of like that. I would like to know where the quote unquote foreigners are from in Xena Warrior Princess universe. Like, we know a lot of Greeks and we know some Romans, but I feel like it would be cool if we knew, like, I don't know, is Salmonius from around here? He might be foreign.
Yeah, that's a good question. Unclear.
Hmm.
So the group then reaches a spooky place with a bunch of skeletons on display, just somewhere outside. And Xena tells everyone to be on guard since the locals don't take prisoners. And she even like says the name of the people that live there. But I tried googling it, and it seems like they literally just
Made that up.
made that up. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, So as they're walking through the forest, they hear someone play the drums. And then they're suddenly showered with arrows that conveniently don't hit anyone. And then they run until they reach this classic, absolute classic of the genre, a shaky wooden bridge.
Yay!
Yeah. So Xena tells Patroclus to secure the other side, which turns out to mean get to the other side and look around for 3 seconds.
Yeah, it was like it was great because he went there, he looked around, and he says clear, and as he says clear, like 3 arrows fly around. Like, clear of what? Why is it clear?
Yeah. Um. Oh well. So Xena tells people to walk over the bridge one at a time. And of course, the bleach blonde baddie really wants to be the next one to go, but it's Gabrielle's turn. She starts walking alone, but then he follows her, straining the ropes that are holding the bridge together. And of course, the bridge snaps in the middle. And so Gabrielle and the baddie manage to hold on to the wooden planks.
Hmm.
But now they have to climb up. And the baddie manages to do it, but Gabrielle is clearly about to fall. She can barely keep holding on. So Xena jumps like 20 meters into, like, not up, forward,
Mm.
um all the way across to Gabrielle, uh grabs the bridge, like hanging down from the other side, and helps Gabrielle climb up.
I mean, Xena can do anything at this point.
Yeah, no, clearly.
Nothing should surprise us. But yeah, it's still fun to see. I also loved this scene because yeah, this shaky bridge is such a staple that I
Oh
imagine that,
yeah.
like, in every location where a shaky bridge is supposed to be, I wonder how many shaky bridges they go through a year, because every time a group of explorers comes through, it has to snap. So then they have to build another shaky bridge.
Yeah, that's a great point. I guess that's how it goes.
That's the biz.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, bridge builders are always employed.
Yeah.
Um, so that evening, we see the group, and Gabrielle tells Xena that she's afraid of the bleach blonde baddie.
Hmm.
But Xena tells her that she's actually more worried about Petrocles because the baddie is direct. Like, you know what you're getting with him. But Petrocles is sneaky. He gets your trust, and then you're in trouble. So, that being said, Xena walks to the baddie to tell him that she won't forget that he almost got Gabrielle killed.
Yeah, this actor actually enjoyed too, because he does a great job
Hmm.
at playing this ratty nut job. Because, like, to that, to Xena tells him, like, yeah, I won't forget that you almost killed my friend, and he's like, well, what a big the it's not a big deal. She's worthless. She doesn't even have any clues. Like, he looks a little bit like a child when he's saying that.
Hmm.
And he really seems like he's very much in his own world, and like it's a very solid and well-rounded character up until one point at the end, which I'll talk about later.
Okay. Okay. Um, but yeah, and he's clearly quite perceptive because
Hmm.
he notes that it's clear that Xena is not particularly interested in the treasure. Like, he
Hmm.
doesn't see that fire of greed in her. And uh he's like trying to figure out what her deal is.
Yeah, he's like, I'm curious, and Xena is like, well, I guess you would have to stay curious, won't you?
um Xena then notices that Gabrielle has gone off somewhere, and obviously she has gone off to see Petrocles.
Yeah. And then when we see Patroclus, like through Gabrielle's eyes, when we follow her, he's obviously sexily chopping up wood in the forest. Like, what else could he be doing? I'm surprised that he has his shirt on and he does not sport an ancient Greek version of Calvin Klein underwear. But that's his role in this episode.
Aw. Um, so Gabrielle walks up to Petrocles and asks him to tell her about what's happened between him and Xena. So clearly, it just keeps occupying her mind.
Hmm.
So he says that they met when they were very young and they confused possession with passion. So Petrocles asked Xena to marry him because that was the way to own her. Xena said yes. And then he realized that once he had her, he didn't want her anymore. Gabrielle notes that it sounds cruel and empty. And Petrocles answers that Gabrielle is clearly very smart and
Oh.
beautiful and kisses her.
Sure.
So, yeah, Gabrielle goes along with it for a moment and then sort of wakes up and walks away. And she sits next to Xena, and it's immediately pretty clear to Xena that something's going on.
Yeah, it was such a dick move from Gabrielle's side, I would say. Like,
Hmm.
no matter what's going on between her and Xena, like, I would say at this point, it's pretty pronounced that the love story is kind of like starting. But even if
Hmm.
we put that aside, like, your best friend tells you, like, oh, I had a thing with this dude. And, like, you're like, oh yeah, I can casually kiss him in the bushes. I don't know. It seems like a dick move. And yeah, like again, it irks me how like it irks me for the right reasons. I mean, like the screenwriters did a very good job making a parody of that dynamic where like Gabriel is like, oh, it must have been so empty for you, you poor thing. And he's like, oh, you're so smart and so perceptive. Like,
uh,
yeah.
yeah.
But Gabrielle is really very young here, so I guess that's why she's falling for all of that.
Yeah, and generally it seems like she tends to fall into this passivity a lot when there's a man that's expecting something
Mm.
romantic of her, and she's like, "Oh yes, I guess I'm supposed to do this now. Cool, 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 cool."
Mm.
And then she
Mm-hmm.
just does it. It does. It seems like, yeah, she like, a part of her almost shuts off, and she's like, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
yes, let's go through the motions. That's the thing that people do, right? That's how it's supposed to go."
Yeah, I think you're right here. Like I'm starting to see the scene in a little bit of a different light here because she does like she kind of answers the kiss, but she more goes along with it than really answers it, and she has a little bit of that detached look on her face, and the similar look she had in this episode with Troy when her fiance tried to kiss her, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point.
Um, which is interesting because I don't think Renee O'Connor knew about the subtext at that point.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So it must have somehow just felt right to play the character that way. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of it is our perception, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Like, if it works, it
No.
works.
Yeah. Yeah. So that night, as everyone is sleeping, Xena threatens Patroclus and tells him not to mess with her friend. So Patroclus observes that it seems like Xena is jealous. Of course, he's making the wrong assumption about who she's jealous of,
Yeah, yeah.
which is really cute.
Mm-hmm.
So Patroclus asks whether Xena remembers their wedding bracelets. And Xena's like, "Yeah, I threw mine into the fire as I do with all trash." And Patroclus is like, "Yeah, I traded mine with an arms dealer for weapons." And Xena walks away. And we see that the bleach blonde baddie was actually only pretending to sleep, and he heard the conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, they're doing a good job of like painting Patroclus as this '90s dreamy baddie biker type. Um, I mean, it to me it seems that he's not that irresistible, but I guess that's kind of like the reality that is built in this world, and we have to believe it.
But also, everyone is resistible to you. You're fucking demisexual.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. You tell me, is he irresistible? He's not, right?
I mean, we're all on the spectrum of resistibility.
Uh
I
huh.
would say he's above average.
I love it. Okay, okay, noted. I really do not have expertise in this matter.
No, that's why that's why I'm on this podcast.
And that is the only reason, folks.
Yep. So the group reaches the Temple of Demeter, and there is a jewel that they need to retrieve from it, like steal from it, I guess.
Retreat,
Um,
borrow.
sure, yeah. Um, so Xena and Patroclus are supposed to create a distraction, I guess, while Gabrielle and the baddie go in pretending to be Demeter worshippers from
No name you. Okay. I see what they did there. I see what
Yep,
they did
yep,
there.
yep. Mhm.
Yeah, I love how Gabby is such a theater kid in this season. So every time she gets to act something out or to like just say something with a stage presence, she goes for it with such enthusiasm. You can see there that she's like, yeah, like I'm gonna give it my best performance as always.
And a performance that is.
Mhm.
um, so we see the interior of the temple, and I gotta give the show decorators credit because the statue of Demeter is colorful and tacky, like the ancient Greek statues were, not white and classy.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
only thing is that it doesn't particularly look Greek either, I would say, but whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mix of cultures in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Xena and Patroclus throw some spears at the temple, and the baddie uses this moment of chaos to retrieve the jewel. The statue is holding it, so he retrieves it from the statue, but he accidentally tips over the statue, and the head breaks off.
Oops.
Yep. Um, and of course, that's when the temple guards and the head priest run back in and they see what's happened. So the head priest is about to tell Gabrielle and the baddie all about how they will be tortured and executed. But Xena and Patroclus sneak up on the guards and knock them out. So the group grabs the jewel and runs away. They then reach their destination, which is three giant heads, kind of like Moai ish. That's kind of what they're
Hmm.
giving. And now everyone tells each other the clues they have.
Yeah, and they're really hesitant because they're like, "No, you go first. You go first." And Xena's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna let anyone kill anyone. Just play nice, children, and say your clues."
Yeah. And the clues are the teacher's student. That's clue one. And clue
Hmm.
two is not incorrect.
Hmm. Hmm.
So Xena, who's clearly done escape rooms before,
It's so much. It's 100% what it is.
she figures out that the teacher student is a pupil and
Hmm.
is not incorrect is right.
Ta-da!
Yay! She also says that her clue indicated that it's neither east nor west, so it must be the middle giant head. So they place the jewel into the pupil and wait for the sunrise. And so as the sunrise comes and the sun hits the eye, it laser beams the way to the treasure. And everyone runs along the beam and reaches a cave blocked by a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, and the bleached baddie has such a sweet meltdown at this point. He like sits down and almost starts crying. He's like, "It's a rock! The treasure is a rock! It's a rock!" And Xena's like, "Calm down, girl. We can just move it."
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
Xena is
do move the.
being
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, just like I'm saying, like Xena is being a mommy to everyone in this camp.
Yeah, for sure. So they do move the rocks and they come in. And the laser beam points to a statue um, with a ring kind of attached to it, sort of like the one you would have on an old school house door, the ring that you need to knock onto the door. Um, and Xena tells Patroclus not to pull the ring. So, of course, he immediately pulls the ring,
Of course.
and everyone falls through the floor. But that's actually a good thing because they literally fall into the room with all of the treasure. So thanks, I guess. Um, Yeah, so the bleach blonde baddie finds a giant key and he reads the Sumerian encryption on it
Because he's Sumerian.
because he's Sumerian. And he realizes that it's the Titan's key, and that will lead him to Ambrosia. So he's like, "Holy shit!" And he grabs Gabrielle and runs.
Aw. It seems like the fact that Ambrosia is somewhere locked away and you need a Titan's key to open it is just common knowledge. It's what they teach in ancient Greece in schools. It's what they teach young Sumerians, I guess. But yeah, I kind of like enjoyed how this character was behaving like Jonathan in the Mummy Treasure Den, or like Abu in the Cave of Wonders. He was just like going around, like putting all the jewels on him, like wearing necklaces and stuff. Like I love characters that behave like that. He kind of like was starting to become my favorite character of the episode at this point, and then he kind of disappointed me. Not him. The screenwrites. He's great. The screenwrites disappointed me.
Yeah, yeah. Aw. Um, I mean, now that you say it, I'm wondering
Mhm.
how many giant keys hidden in treasure dens are there that are not Titan's keys?
I mean, whenever you find a giant key in a treasure den, it's clear that it's for something better than the treasure. I would say that.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I don't know. It just I'm not sure I'm on board with this Titan's key plot point generally. Like it seems like they have a bit of a like a MacGuffin on a MacGuffin in a MacGuffin that opens another MacGuffin.
That's true, but also they're kind of referencing a certain genre, those like Indiana Jones adventures
Well,
that
yeah.
are completely that.
Well,
That
that's
are
true.
right, so we cannot fault them for that.
Fine, 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 fine. So, for some reason, it's not explained at all, but for some reason, Xena and Patroclus aren't able to follow the Bleach Blonde baddie immediately. So they have to find another way to get to him, and Xena leads them to the Hall of Silence.
Mhm.
And they have to walk through it, well, silently, or something bad will happen. And the first thing that Patroclus does in the Hall of Silence is speak. And then he steps on a skull. So they have to run.
Yeah, wits clearly aren't part of his seduction technique.
No, but they are. Come on.
I don't know.
He just doesn't understand what being silent means.
Okay,
He
whatever.
hasn't gone to school. He's only gone to baddie conventions.
Aw.
You know, they teach you how to catch the arrow with your bare hands, but not
Preferably without a shirt on.
yes,
That he attended.
but not fancy words like silence.
Aw.
So meanwhile, the bleach blonde baddie is telling Gabrielle about how he will kill her if Xena tries to stop him, and how the first thing he would do as a god would be to unleash a giant plague.
Yeah, so this is the part where I'm a little disappointed by the screen. It's like, why? Nothing about this guy before told us that he's like this angry dude who just wants to destroy the world and unleash the plague. It just seems that like it's this lazy writing, so we have to like, so that the stakes would be higher, we have to explain why it's bad that this dude would become a god. Because like before he was just like a dude driven by very understandable stuff. He likes money. He's like this practical guy. It just doesn't seem that the first thing he would do is the unleash a giant plague, unless the giant plague means that he'll somehow would be the richest god of all gods. I don't know. It just seemed like a like lazy writing to me.
You're kind of describing what my issue with the ending of Saltburn was.
Aw.
I feel like with minimal changes, you could be like, yeah, but why? Seems like
I
lazy writing.
It's 100% lazy writing, and I so
Yeah.
want to discuss it like off camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Write to us if
We shall. We shall.
write to us if you want to see a bonus episode of us dissing Saltburn.
Oh no, no, there were things that I liked.
No, me too, me too. But just
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway.
Back to Xena.
So in the end, everyone reaches the ambrosia at the same time.
Mhm.
So Patroclus pretends to want to join the bleach blonde baddie in becoming gods, but he actually uses that to get close to him and free Gabrielle. So he does that, but the baddie stabs him several times. Xena fights the baddie, and it's an unusually difficult fight. And also, this fight features quite a few unnecessary jumps from Xena. Like sometimes it's clearly faster and easier to just run for a couple of meters, but she chooses to just somersault in the air because she can, I guess. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
hell, I probably would too. In the end, Xena manages to set off the baddie's sleeve dagger to fire into his own chest,
Yeah.
and she kills him that way. He lives for like 10 seconds after that, but whatever.
Mhm.
So Patroclus is bleeding out. He's about to die. He tells Xena that he's sorry for hurting her. He gives her yet another pouch and dies. Xena opens the pouch to discover that it contains his wedding bracelet. And it's a surprisingly sweet moment, I thought.
I don't know. I think for the
No?
first time in forever,
Wow!
I'm skeptical and you're not, which is a nice surprise and contrast.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, I was not moved by that. Also, I felt that there needed to be one scene why the bleached baddie is angry at the world and why does he want to unleash the plague. There needed to be one scene to kind of like at least hint that Patroclus is like prepared to make this big self-sacrifice move.
Hmm.
Like it was a little out of nowhere and random to me. Like he was like a charming douchebag and nothing about him said that he's capable of that. But I guess they did not have enough screen time.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. No, it's fair, it's fair. So, Xena takes the ambrosia and she throws it into um a weird flaming pond, and that does not destroy ambrosia. It's how one gives ambrosia back to the gods. I don't know how this works, but okay.
We just have to accept it. Yeah, as I was rewatching it, I was like, are they gonna resurrect this guy with ambrosia? Because later on, we're going to resurrect people with ambrosia. That's like one of the things. And I'm like, is it going to be that? But no, thank God they didn't go there. At that point, they did not think of the fact that ambrosia can resurrect people. It's going to be later in the
Oh, and
later episodes.
also,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But also like giving it back to the gods really sounds funny, knowing that the gods are also characters and they're like, Ares, stop leaving your pudding all over the place. Just like take it back. Clean up your room.
oh, Xena is the mummy not only to the human characters, but to the gods as well.
Yeah. Oh.
So, it's the new year,
Mm-hmm.
and now that it's 2024,
Aw.
it's time to introduce something new. And so, starting this episode, we're gonna have a new section. At the end of each episode, we're gonna decide what the gayest moment of the episode was.
Yay! Love that. Love that.
So, what's the gayest moment of episode 14, A Fistful of Dinars?
For me, Xena protecting Gabrielle and kind of being jealous at the same time. Xena coming to talk to Patroclus in terms of like, hey, you keep your hands off my girl.
Yeah, I think that that's my answer as well. I think for me it's more Gabrielle being inexplicably obsessed with the fact that Xena used to be engaged to this
Mm.
random dude, and
Mhm.
like that's all she can think about. And it seems like she doesn't really know why. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty gay.
Yeah.
All right. So, how many chakrams out of 10 would you give this episode?
Mm, it's a solid episode for
It is a solid
most
episode.
for most part. I was tossing and turning between 7 and 8. I would
Hmm.
say still 7, not because it was bad, just because like I am not a huge fan of Indiana Jones and like those sort of let's go in a cave and find treasure things. So that's why it's a 7 for me. But it's a good episode.
Yeah, yeah. Um, as a huge fan of escape rooms,
Aw.
I give this one an 8.
Aw.
And also, it seems like I enjoyed Patroclus a little bit more than you, which kind of pushed it a bit over the edge for me.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
All right. So this was our review of season 1, episode 14. And we will see you soon to see you soon. Talk to you soon, I guess. Um, we'll talk to you soon about season 1, episode 15, which is called Warrior dot 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 Princess.
Whatever could they mean? We'll find out.
Yeah, yeah. Stay tuned.
Hmm.
I mean, don't stay tuned right now because probably your app is just going to autoplay whatever other podcast you subscribe to. But
When we say stay tuned, we say in 2 weeks there'll be a new episode. Maybe, probably. We'll really try.
yay!
All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
Oh wait, we need to tell people that we have an Instagram because we haven't been telling people that we have an Instagram.
Do that now.
Yes, and while you're waiting for the next episode, why not check out our Instagram? It's a very easy name to remember. At Xena made me gay. Nobody else has it. So give us a follow, comment, you can message us. Like we really are curious about what our listeners think and feel. Not like generally in life. If you've had a bad day, don't write to us about that. But when it comes to your reactions to our episodes, we're hungry for feedback. So
Yes.
so do write in. All right. Until soon.
Bye.
Bye.